let's talk a little bit of diktuk. Do you know what the term is when you have a Hebrew verb and they include in the word a suffix indicating the object of that verb? Give an example. In modern Hebrew, they don't use it so much. It's like a contraction. In English, we have contractions. We say can't and don't. It's a contraction of two words. When you say, Ani shavarti et habakbuk, because I have a bottle here. I broke the bottle, right? Ani shavarti oto. I could just use a pronoun instead of the bakbuk, right? Oto actually is kind of interesting. The word et doesn't have a translation in English. It's a placeholder word. It's a word we put before the direct object, right? So I broke it. We don't translate the et part, but the et includes the suffix cholam to indicate I broke it. If I wanted to say in, let's say, biblical Hebrew, I broke it, how would I say it in one word? Ani shavarti. You say who? Most of the time it's just shavartiu with a vav. Okay? Which, by the way, we pronounce shavartiu. As I pointed out a few years ago, there's a key pasuk at the beginning of Sefer Shemoth, in the Parsha of Shemos, where God tells Moshe Rabbeinu that he'll be speaking to him through Aaron. Aaron will be a spokesman. So at the beginning of the pasuk it says piu, pei yud vav, and then it says pei yud hey. Vav. I could get it backwards. Pihu and piu occur in the same word, like in the same sentence. They are grammatically equivalent. Okay, mishithihu, mishithiu. By the way, there doesn't seem to be one particular rule in the Torah where it goes. Okay, so that's how you would say, I did that to him or to it, singular masculine. How would I say it to her? Shemartiha, right? I guarded her. It's like piha. Fine, that works. What about other suffixes? Let's say other objects. I did it to them. Shemartim, I guarded them. And by the way, it works in future tense. It works in present tense. One of the interesting things that you don't find in the Bible so much, but you find in, let's say, Rabbinic Hebrew, is the addition of an aleph. What am I talking about? When the verb in question ends with a silent hey, right? A silent hey. So the hey drops off. It's actually silent in a lot of conjugations. If I wanted to say, I made them, I made the pots, what would I say in Mishnah Hebrew? Asa Okay? He made it would be asa o. You add an aleph. Asa oto becomes asa o. Now, the problem with adding that aleph is what? In biblical Hebrew, the aleph is rarely, if ever, I know of one example, the aleph is normally a prefix before certain verbs in the future tense. The aleph is not a suffix indicating objects. If you want to say, we made them, it would be assume. Okay? A lot of the times where, let's say, he made it, feminine, would be asa'ah. But in true biblical Hebrew, it would just be asa with a mapik hey. Instead of asa, silent hey, asa, mapik hey. A lot of times where Mishnah Hebrew, in order to make it easier, adds a phantom aleph. By the way, there's one major set of halachot, even a tractate of the Talmud, where this comes into play. What am I referring to? You look at this. Is the name of the Masechta Mikwoth or Mikwaoth? Well, even Koren can't get it right. In their halacha book, they have it. Sometimes they spell it, the Rambam's Mikwoth, and sometimes Mikwoth. I don't have it in front of me here, but it's over there. You can go see it. They vowelize it. What should it be? Matter of fact, well, it's not a mikvah. Most people pronounce it. In English, we have, because we say milel, we say mikvah. Instead of saying segol, we say with a kamatz. So the plural would be mikvoth, right? If it's a segol, I don't know. How do you pluralize those words?
Why would it be ot anyway?
Yeah, because masculine. Yeah, should be mikwim. By the way, it's mikvoth. Sometimes it's mikvoth. Sometimes mikvoth.
There are many examples like that.
Yeah.
Say ma'achalot.
Yeah.
Ma'achalot asurat.
Yeah.
But in Zionist Hebrew, it's ma'achalim,
Yeah.
which is according to grammar.
And Beit HaKvaroth, the cemetery, is full of what? Kivarim. Yeah. And Masechet Bechoroth is talking about Bechorim.
Chorim.
Yeah. So what is it? It's a little bit difficult. I'm talking about the phantom aleph here. That aleph is actually necessitated many times in order to, I guess, make it easier, more easily understood who or what is the object of the verb. But there's one case that I was thinking about in particular, and that is when it talks about what happened to Shaul and his sons. It says in the end of the book of Samuel that the Philistines, they desecrated their corpses, right? You remember what I'm talking about? And it says eventually David HaMelech realized that the proper respect was not granted to Saul posthumously, so he went and did it. And you look over here, it's actually a set of 3 words that are unique in the Torah, in the Bible. 3 words that are all Kriyan Kethiv. It says in the Ksiv, Tulum Sham HaPlishtim. The Plishtim hung them there. Yet the Kri is Tilaum Shama Plishtim. What have they done? Well, first is they added the aleph, Tilaum. They hung them. Tulum is, I guess, the old Hebrew way. Tilaum is more of a Mishnaic form or an Aramaic form. Adding the aleph because you want to make sure you're pronouncing it properly. They hung them. The Philistines hung Saul and his sons. And instead of Sham HaPlishtim, they take the hey from the word Plishtim and they add it to the end of the word Sham. Shama Plishtim. Now, a lot of times what?
Do we even use object suffixes in Aramaic?
It's yeah, sometimes you do actually.
In biblical or in Targumic?
I didn't prepare any examples, but I'll try to find some for you. Okay. If we get to talk about this, if you get me a Sefer Shmuel, and
Where is it?
over there, Sefer Shmuel, and also maybe a Torah, some sort of Torah. We'll do with that. Either way, the point is, this is interesting. This is the only example I know, once again, in Tanakh, where the aleph is added in between the verb and the objective suffix. It's much more common in Mishnaic Hebrew. There's a lot of reasons why we might have Kriyan Ksiv, as you might be familiar. Sometimes it might just be competing gersos. In this case, it's an interesting idea that says Shama Plishtim instead of Sham HaPlishtim. They have almost the same meaning, but one sounds, I guess, it sounds better. I don't know. We'll look at that. We'll pause here for a second. See, here. This is the example. You asked, would you have this form? And yes, you have an objective suffix. Dit salvu nun. They hung them or impaled them. It's interesting. A lot of times in Hebrew, when it says hanging, either to a corpse or to kill someone, the Targum is tzliva, which is, by the way, impalation. Not lav dafka crucifixion. No, crucifixion is a type of impalation practiced by the Romans. But tzliva is mentioned a few times throughout the Bible. It's in Genesis, it's in Deuteronomy, it's in Megillah Esther.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and you have to remember the method of hanging, using the noose and everything, is more of a Western type of thing, Western European. In the olden days, the kings of old, when they would hang someone in order to kill them, they wouldn't use it. Yes, it's true. Based in when they would have some, a megadef, for example, right? The megadef is hung afterwards.
Yeah.
And so there, based in says they tie up to the corpse. That's tying. If you would do that to a living person, it wouldn't harm him. You tie him up by his hands. But what the pharaohs and the ancient Persian kings and others practiced when tzliva, like the Romans, tzliva meant some form of impalation. So you have to understand, when it says that Sar HaOfim was hung by Pharaoh, and Unclu says he was slaved, it doesn't mean he was crucified, but it doesn't mean he was impaled. Okay? He was killed by impalation. So too, when Achashverosh did that to big son, little son, Teresh, and Haman, so they were all impaled. Haman's 10 sons were already dead. What did they do to them? It doesn't really matter. Did they tie them up? Did they impale them? It seems that that's, by the way, what the Philistines did to Saul. To their bodies, they were impaled. Okay, so understand what the Hebrew word means here. So either way, this is the objective form. So lavu nun. So it does exist in here. And it'll say ukshartam. Ukshartam means you shall tie them. Unklus also translates that as, yeah, there it has the objective suffix attached to it. So yes, it does exist in Aramaic. My point is, adding this phantom aleph is something later in Hebrew. I would imagine that this is one of those tikkune sofrim, which might be later. Now, what are you going to try to show me? Yeah.
So it's probably easier to read and easier to understand when you read it as Zevuv Yamut.
Yeah. Yavish.
Yavish. Yavi Hashem. And...
yeah, now it explain why Yavish and not Yavishu.
No, but then it's one. Zevuv Yamut.
Yeah.
It's easier to read.
Okay, yeah.
That's how Chazal wanted.
I remember being surprised the first time you open up Sansinu Chumash, it tells you why is the aleph in Vayikra small.
So what do they say? It
says the scribal thing used to be that if the next word begins with the same letter as the previous word, the Vayikra El, so it's easier to just, you just have to write Vayikra El, and the aleph goes both ways.
Yeah,
so there's a small aleph added because you can't have that. Okay.
But why only there?
Why only there? That's the most well-known example, but it used to exist. They added other ones.
Yeah, but the small letters, we have only a handful of small
Yeah, I know. So that's why most people like the more Rashi type of answer that everybody else knows.